What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about dangerous animals. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you guys like talking about anything movies, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you have come to the right place. And like I said, today we are talking about dangerous animals. Without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, I came into this for the most part pretty blind. I've never seen a trailer. The only thing I knew about this movie was the concept, which was basically there's a serial killer that uses sharks as his method of killing people. And beyond that, I knew nothing about this movie. But seeing that we haven't really had too many shark movies in the past couple of years, I was very, very excited to see what this was going to entail. And with this very unique concept and idea, definitely had me interested. But before I give you my full thoughts on dangerous animals, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and let me know what you guys thought about this movie in the comment section down below. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into my pros. And starting my pros, like I just mentioned, I absolutely love the concept of this movie where you have a guy who is essentially like an experienced tour guide, where this guy named Tucker. And by the way, this is not spoilers. You find out who the killer is within the first 5 minutes of the movie. So, but you have this guy named Tucker, who is basically this guy in Australia who is a kind of tour guide for people to go experience shark diving, and he uses this as a way to get people out into the sea to the middle of nowhere, especially tourists, where people in Australia won't really be looking for them, and kind of just use sharks or use the human for bait for the sharks. And he loves to record it and kind of relive those moments, and that's just the way he kills people. And I just love that concept. That is such a unique concept on the kind of monster movie or creature feature genre of the shark killer film, where you really turn it on its head, where the shark isn't necessarily the main killer per se, but is more so the tool that the serial killer is using. And speaking of which, I absolutely in love who our serial killer is. Tucker. I don't know the name of the actor. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything else before either. Most of the cast here did not look familiar to me, so I'm not sure where else I have seen this guy before, if I've ever seen this guy before. But I absolutely loved his vibe in this movie. He brings a lot of that kind of campy goofiness nature to this film, by while also being very charismatic and sinister at the same time. That is such a great character, and especially in this kind of genre, and also this very unique idea of him being a serial killer. You need kind of some of that element to the killer, where he's not just always just super sadistic. There has to be kind of a fun nature to it, because inherently a lot of shark movies or shark horror movies already have that kind of campy nature to it. And by elevating this character of Tucker into that, just makes it so much more enjoyable. Where again, he's very charismatic, but just out of flip of a switch, he can become extremely sinister and intimidating. And it was just such a great dynamic of a character within this movie. We had so many different great moments of this character. Like the opening alone was such a great cold open, where you have these tourists going to this experience. He takes them out, and he's seemingly again very charming. There's a girl there that's very nervous about shark diving, and he ends up singing the baby shark song to them, which was absolutely hilarious. And then after the experience, he just snaps and goes into full crazy mode and just kills her boyfriend or whatever, and it basically entraps her. And it's just a very, very great opening sequence. And on top of that, where during the shark diving sequence of that opener, I love the way they film the sharks, where the sharks at first feel very, very menacing. You definitely kind of feel tense, kind of claustrophobic being under that water. And then they also switch it where they finally calm down, and you kind of see the beauty and the raw nature of the shark in the ocean. And it ends up showing you two sides of the same coin, where most people, and he gives a little monologue. Tucker gives a little monologue, but most people are more afraid of a shark, mainly because of what it looks like, what it entails, the razor sharp teeth, how big it is. But he makes a fun little nod that mosquitoes kill, 10 times more people than sharks, but we're none of us are really necessarily afraid of mosquitoes. And I think that is just such a great way to describe the shark itself, where in most horror shark movies, we're afraid of the shark because of this big brooding force of nature. But for the most part, sharks are inherently harmless until they get provoked or they accidentally think that something is something else and attacks for whatever reason. But beyond Tucker, I also very much enjoyed the rest of the cast here. It's a very small, tight knit cast, but our main character, who his name is Zephyr, I believe it is Zephyr, and then you have her kind of love interest in a way. They barely meet within the movie, but so for the most part, he's the love interest for sure. But I very much enjoy Zephyr's character. I think just right off the rip, you can definitely tell that she's a very enclosed person, but a very hard headed and strong female character within this movie. And then by the end of it, she ends up being a very, very great final girl in a way where she kind of has a little bit of a meta nature to her, where she kind of knows certain things, but at the same time, she is a final girl that does actually fight back. And that's what we always love about final girls, is not the survivor where they go through the entire movie and they're just so happen to be the last one alive. She's alive because of her own skills, her own quick wit, her own willingness to survive and do what it takes to get out of the situation and actually fight back. So it makes her an awesome final girl for this movie. And I think she's just a great addition to the film. And then I absolutely love the visuals of this entire movie. Great set pieces with the kind of like tugboat or fishing boat that we are pretty much, for the most part, set on the entire time of the movie. But even just the open scenery of the Australia oceans and lakes and rivers, wherever we are, look very beautiful. Very nice blue water. It's just very visually pleasing. So overall, I think shot choices were amazing. The color palette looked very nice. It was just a very pleasing looking film. And I also very much enjoyed the actual kill sequences itself. While they weren't the most creative, I think it was still just fun seeing the way he would do it, where he'll kind of tie people to this like hook and kind of suspend them over the water and dump them in and let sharks just go to town basically. And it ends up being very fun. Not too many unique kills. You see that a couple of times pretty much, but for the most part, it's still a fun way to see how to kind of turn the creature feature shark movie on its head by you giving this food or the human as bait to the shark. And of course, I think, like I kind of mentioned already, directing, shot choices, pacing was done very well for an hour and a half long movie. I think that is the perfect runtime for the plot that we're giving here, or the idea. Because I think if you drag it out a little bit more and we see that similar kind of way Tucker uses these people as bait, it might get a little repetitive. So I like that the pacing was done very well. The movie doesn't overstay its welcome. It's very compact, very quick pace, pretty gory, lots of fun, a lot of goofy nature stuff that makes you laugh while also kind of getting you those like very cringy, not cringy, but like kind of giving you those like goosebumps, and you end up kind of sitting at the edge of your seat or being very tense, because the tense moments are very tense, and the campy goofy moments are absolutely fun and super enjoyable to watch. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my cons. And I don't necessarily have too much here, but the biggest thing is, even though this is a kind of genre blender of a shark kind of creature feature mixed with a serial killer type of movie, I do wish there was a little bit more shark action in this film. We do get very fun, great sequences with the sharks, but for the most part, it is a little bit more on the back burner, because I said the shark is more so the tool for the serial killer, not necessarily the actual main killer or plot or character of this like horror shark creature feature film. And secondly, I kind of spoke about him a little bit earlier before, but the love interest to Zephyr, or our final girl here in this movie, well, you do kind of buy into their relationship. By the end of it, I feel like they went from 0 to 100 very quick of their relationship. You kind of understand they just survived this, horrific experience together, and sometimes that can bring people a lot closer together when you experience something like that. However, for someone like Zephyr, who is a very closed off person, it does definitely feel like at the end of it, once they finally get beyond this whole situation, their relationship doesn't feel as genuine as it did in the beginning of the movie. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. This was an absolute blast of a creature feature serial killer horror movie. Absolutely loved it. Definitely one of those, not necessarily a summer blockbuster movie, but this definitely gives that summer feel, because you're out on the beach in the ocean fishing sharks. So definitely a great movie to check out this summer. I highly recommend it. But again, If you guys like talking about the movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. Make sure to drop that like and subscribe. And remember, stay nerdy, my friends.